So upside down like this, upside down?
Yeah, you can actually spin it just right. And first try, that was actually pretty good.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of SOL.
All right. Well, in this episode, guys, we're going to be learning a little bit more about the holiday of Hanukkah, which I probably didn't put enough emphasis on the... Right?
Yeah.
You
really gotta get some phlegm in there.
Yeah.
Do it.
Hanukkah.
So today we have my good friend Mo here. He is married to my best friend of like 14 years now. My gosh,
Yeah.
I've known Hannah for a very long time. And you are Messianic Jewish, right?
I myself am not Jewish. I'm a Gentile, a non-Jew, but I take on the practices and beliefs of Messianic Judaism, which is essentially the first believers in Jesus were Jewish, and they kept all their Jewish practices and identity. And over time, as more non-Jews came to faith in Jesus, they adapted their own non-Jewish practices to affirm their own identity. So that's the context that I'm in.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, because you married into...
Yeah, I married into a Jewish family. Yeah,
okay.
That's a roller coaster.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yep.
So Mo, I don't know if you've been watching some of our prior episodes, but for every one of our guests, we're giving them a complimentary SOL mug. So we wanted to give this to you early, so if you'd like to join us and put your beverage in your mug, you're welcome to do so.
I love that.
So check it out. Adding it to the collection.
Yes.
All right, Mo, now that you got your mug, your special SOL mug and beverage, so I thought it'd be cool if me and Justin kind of start with telling you what we think we know about Hanukkah, and you can tell us throughout the conversation if we're right, wrong, or if we're way wrong.
Yeah.
So I guess I can start. I mean, for me, like the concepts that
Where do you get your Hanukkah knowledge from?
I'll be honest, a lot of it is probably from like movies and like television, the concepts and the typical verbiage that goes around it. But obviously, knowing Hannah and your family for so long that, I've seen some of the things you guys do as well. So one of the concepts that I've always hear about Hanukkah is like the multiple gift giving. The 8 days of gift giving, I feel like is what everybody thinks of when they think of Hanukkah. So what are your...
I mean, I could very specifically say there's 3 places I've gotten my Hanukkah knowledge from. I had a Jewish friend growing up, so I participated in a couple of different events, holidays, whatever you want to call them. Futurama and Adam Sandler. Those are my 3. That's the only reason I know how many days Hanukkah is because of the Hanukkah song.
That's perfect. Then I guess they did their job. Yeah. It really is that simple. So I think the multiple gift giving came much later. And I was trying to find some background on it, and no one really knows exactly when it happened. But you can pretty much presume that when you live in a culture, as Jews have lived amongst many other cultures for so long, for thousands of years, that you tend to more often than not take on some of the practices. So especially in Europe and America, where gift giving became more prominent with Christmas, one can presume that obviously, that they've decided like, hey, we want gifts. We don't celebrate for one night, we celebrate for 8 nights. So let's just expand it out. So that's pretty much the only thing I can think of for the reason why gift giving became a part of Hanukkah later on.
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but the 8 days of gift giving and everything like that whole premise is based on what the Jews were stuck in a cave and they had 1 day worth of oil and it lasted for 8 or something like that?
Pretty much.
Yes.
Except for it's not a cave, it was the temple.
Oh, it was the temple.
But they hid in caves. The Greek-Syrian army would hunt anyone down if they were suspicious of practicing Judaism when they outlawed it. So they used to hide in caves and practice their religion and read Torah where no one could see them or get caught. And sometimes they were caught. So the oil came about as sort of... it's actually more of a legend, really, out of the Talmud. So in the Talmud, it talks that when they rededicated the temple, cleaned it all out, and they needed oil to light the menorah, which was like this giant candelabra, not a candle, but a candelabra, much like this one, where it only had 7 branches. They would pour oil in it and light it. There was only enough oil for it to stay lit for 1 night. And so the legend goes that actually God had blessed it. There was a miracle where it lasted for 8 nights, and that was enough time for them to make more oil to fill it back up. So in the temple, the menorah was supposed to stay lit all the time. and it was supposed to be a representation of sort of God's light and God's presence in the temple. And there are many meanings to the menorah, but one of them is predominantly that it is the light of God that is lighting up the area. So we have 8 candles to represent the 8 nights, and the middle one is called the... You know it.
I already forgot the name of it, but I know it lights all the other ones.
It lights all the other ones. It's the helper candle.
Helper candle.
The helper candle. Edit that.
Nope, that's Satan. You don't get to dictate the editing.
It's a helper camel. It helps all the other camels. So it lights them on fire. So what you do is you have the one single helper candle, which lights all the rest of the candles, and you light it from right to left. I don't know why it's right to left. I couldn't really find anyone who could give me a solid answer on it, but presume that Hebrew is written and read from right to left.
I was going to say, is it the way the language is written?
Yeah, I'm gonna make that my answer. So, anyway, the miracle, like I was saying, is not just in the fact that the oil lasted for so long, though it's sort of a legend in the Talmud. In the book of the Maccabees, there is no mention of the oil at all. What seems to be the case for the book of Maccabees, and even Flavius Josephus, who writes about it, is that they were able to be outnumbered, and this band of guerrilla fighters were able to get a good large chunk of their land back, and Jerusalem, which is their capital, and the temple at the same time. So there's a lot of other historical background to it that I don't want to get into, because I want to try to keep Hanukkah simple. But it really comes down to Antiochus Epiphanes had this crazy notion of just trying to make one universal culture, and that doesn't fit well because people aren't like that, and so you get resistance, and so these resistance fighters banded together, and they actually did an amazing job fighting back. So they were called the Maccabees, and Maccabee means hammer, because they would just hammer their opponents in battle, and a lot of times they use a lot of guerrilla tactics.
Guerrilla warfare is by far one of the most underrated processes in all of like army history or militaristic history.
Guerrilla warfare, yes, is a very underrated and very powerful process. But for them, they had an end game, right? They knew exactly what they wanted, and it was just to get their stuff back, by stuff like who they were, their land, some land anyway, and their rights. So, and like I said, there's more to be said. So if anyone is like, actually, I'm sure that's true, that's fine. But just to get to the point of like why this is so serious, it's like an Independence Day for Jews. It's celebrating Independence Day. Like, we won, we got it back, we got our rights back. We're pretty happy about that, and we're not going to get killed for for anything that we do or say. And there's nothing worse than obviously having. Like being hammered, for having an opposite idea or whatever like that. Nobody likes.
You mean 2020?
Yeah, like 2020. It's just
I'm glad you said it. That's why the freedom of speech, freedom of religion is so important.
Yeah, it is.
Assemble.
Yeah, I know, and it's tough because I'm sure there's so much history, but obviously we're very limited on the time that we can give Mo to give us the whole story. But it makes a lot of sense what you're giving us, and it really helps understand like the context behind such an important holiday to those who celebrate it.
If you want, I can read the blessings for you.
Sure, yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. Just to kind of give you a little bit of full effect.
Every day that you light a candle, you do the same blessing?
Yes, you do the same blessing. Okay. The third blessing, actually, is the only blessing that's read on the first night. So out of the three, so in the first night, you would do your 3 blessings, and then on every other night, you just do the first 2 blessings.
Okay.
So I don't memorize them because there's a lot to memorize already. So I have them written out, and I'll just say it in English. So because reading Hebrew is not great for me, and I'm not awesome at it. So
it's cool.
So my kids can do it because they recite it all the time every year, and then I'll just say the English. So the first night you would read, "Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us to kindle the Hanukkah light." And you would read that as you were lighting. And the second blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher asamim lavot ba'amim hayem bizma hazeh. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who performed miracles for our forefathers in those days at the time. and I read the Hebrew there. So because I was just going
That one you were comfortable with?
Yeah, I could do that one.
More familiar with that one. You say it more often than the first one, right?
Yeah.
And then the third blessing, which is only for the first night, is blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has granted us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this occasion. So we're just thankful that we're able to live in our lives to the point where we can come and remember, like, we made it to the season. And thank you for helping us make it to the season so that we can remember.
That's awesome. Now you only like one per day, or you like all 8 every day?
One per day.
Okay.
So you take your helper and you just do the first one, and then let them
You say all
down.
3 blessings.
Yeah, you say the blessings, and then on the second night you add a second candle, and then you.
So you like 2.
So
that's why you need a big box. I was wondering, because I'm like, if you only need 8, a big box must last you like forever. Be like, no, because it burns down and you got to replace it every day. Okay, got it.
Sometimes I think there's sort of like the tradition is probably there to like help candle makers.
That makes a lot of sense.
Like
that's why
how are we gonna sell candles? Like how are we gonna sell all these candles? I know. Let's just keep relighting them every single
and
night.
let's make them very skinny so they all melt down every day.
Like make it real quick, skinny.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a whole process. You know?
I also noticed that you brought some dreidels here too, and one of the things I just learned in conversation with trying to get Mo to come on the show with us is that it's actually a game, and I don't think I've ever realized that it was a game before.
I played it growing up with my Jewish friend, but we always played with the little chocolate coins. I know that's pretty big. The chocolate coins.
Yeah.
What do you call that again?
It's gelt. It's called gelt. Gelt is a term for money.
Oh, okay.
But,
all right.
It's
chocolate gelt. Okay.
Each side is what? It's a word.
So it's all the letters together actually represent that a great miracle happened there. That's what it stands for, to remember that the miracle of Hanukkah. And so, but each letter also represents how much you give or take for money in the pot. So on top of that, so it interestingly enough, it works both ways very well. So nun, miracle, right? And if you roll a nun, you either pay. You don't pay and you don't gain anything. And so the next letter you have is Gimel, which stands for Gadol, which, like we said, a great miracle happened there. If you roll a Gimel, you win everything.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yep. So Gimel is good. Gadol is good. And then the next letter you have is Hey. And Hey stands for Haya. If you roll a Hey, you win half. Hey, half. You can memorize that. And then the last one is Shin, which stands for Shem, which is there. If you roll a Shin, you lose everything. So before each spin, everyone puts one token in the middle. Or whatever you have.
So put a token here.
Yep.
Well, we gotta take all the decorative ones out of the way.
Let's throw one in there. And so we'll start off, let's go right to left.
Okay.
I'll just take 2.
Okay.
That's close. I'm going to round up.
1.5.
Now, before you spin, pop a coin.
We have to ante up again?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can just do it now or before your own turn. One or the other.
Gimel, and that's...
Great, you get everything.
Everything?
Yep.
So we'd have to re-ante up now.
Yeah, because it's empty. We have to all ante up again.
You lose everything. All right.
You're going to take 3, right? Because 2.5? Okay.
Yes,
Because 2.5.
yeah. Right?
So once I lose all my coins, you're out.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry.
Oh!
Yep.
So upside down like this, upside down?
Yeah, you can actually spin it just right. And first try. That was actually pretty good. You lose everything.
If he doesn't win everything,
But
I
do you
still
have
have my
the
answer
Gimel?
in there.
Let's see if I can.
That actually wasn't too far.
None. Nothing.
None.
Yeah.
All right. Well, either way, you guys lost everything.
Well, my auntie's still in there. Is that
I was gonna assume that you
alright.
lost. There's no way to get it back. Sorry.
I feel like we're being
If you
swindled.
can't pay, you can't play. That's how the game goes.
Well, thank you so much, Mo, for teaching us how to play Dreidel. That was actually really fun. But we do really appreciate it. We hope you enjoy your mug.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you want to help us with bingo?
Yeah, you
Do
get,
what?
You're gonna help us with
Yeah,
that
I'll
bingo.
do bingo. Let's do it.
So at the end of every episode, Mo, we roll a dice to figure out how many bingo balls we need to pick.
Okay.
And then
you get to roll and tell us how many we're going with.
All right, here we go.
8.
Eight.
Man,
Yeah,
these gets roll really high numbers.
I know. It's
We need to stop letting them roll.
All right, guys, make sure you check that out over on social media tomorrow, Saturday, some date after today. It's definitely tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Make sure you subscribe, and our other videos are over there and over there. And you guys have yourself a wonderful Friday night.
Bye.